I didn't even know Terry Brooks was still writing, but he has announced his retirement this morning with a kind of shocking announcement that he's adding Delilah S. Dawson to kind of continue on his Shannara series, which I find to be kind of a bummer. But hey, it's not like the Shannara series was really getting a lot done anyway. I think the last book he completed in the series was 2020, if I recall correctly. We're going to get into his announcement in just a moment in the fantasy news, the real fantasy news, everybody. So thank you for joining us here as we talk about all things in fantasy. Now, Terry Brooks was one of those kind of initial flood of people who were writing epic fantasy right after the Lord of the Rings got a huge boost in popularity in the 1970s. And The Sword of Shannara was one of the first that I actually read. I think I was 13 or 14 at the time. Absolutely loved it. I thought it was a fantastic book. Have not read it as an adult. I read the trilogy, and then it fell off pretty quickly, in my opinion, and I'm not really super interested in the works after that so much. It was kind of done, but it sold so well because it was, the first book was so fun that it really propelled a career and did very well for Terry Brooks, who eventually got a MTV adaptation show of Shannara made. That was kind of weird. It didn't feel like the books whatsoever. It was definitely very romancy and strong female leady. It was very like something that would be done for the CW and not for epic fantasy fans. Very odd adaptation. Not as bad as Wheel of Time, though. Nothing is. So interesting stuff there. Now, he's had a storied career on this front, and he is retiring. But Delilah S. Dawson, now named as the successor, is pretty interesting. We'll get into what he said and what's going on with that in just a moment. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Join us here as we talk about all things in fantasy. Really appreciate you being here. And I am a fantasy author myself. I'm coming out with a new book, The Demon's Eye. Now, I've been actually sitting on this for a while, and this is much more classic style fantasy. This is like those pulp sword and sorceries that you would have gotten in the 1940s, 1950s. I'm not really influenced by epic fantasy as a writer whatsoever. But I like that kind of stuff. I like the old Paul Anderson stuff like Three Hearts, Three Lions, Conan the Barbarians, Chronicles of Ambers, that kind of stuff. This will be something that's in line for you if you like that kind of thing. So good stuff. We are bringing back classic fantasy fiction, and it's available for pre-order on Amazon right now. It's coming out the 18th. It's just starting right now. Grab this today. Get ready. Boost our initial sales out there, and make sure your friends know about this book too. It's a one-shot. It's one and done. So no series staff to worry about continuing or anything like that. We're not going to George R. R. Martin this or anything like that. Just a lot of fun for you right here. Thank you so much, guys. It's in the description below, and thank you for supporting our work. All right, so epic fantasy writer Terry Brooks has announced his retirement on Facebook. He posted a very lengthy post, said, "Greetings, everyone. Beware, this post might go on a bit longer than usual, and perhaps long enough to strain your attention span, but please hang in there with me. What I have to say to you is important. I have several matters to address. As I set out to reveal them, I will admit to not being entirely sure how to go about it. Let's start off with a few life facts I've come to accept, recently decided to address. And this is a bummer. It's just sad, but it's how it is. I'm now 81. I've been writing Shannara since 68, which is more than 50 years. I've written steadily with no breaks save for vacations and illnesses. I have a total count of just under 50 books to my name as of all today. In that time, I have been writing at least one book or often two at the same time. I am still writing regularly, but noticed recently that my physical and mental abilities have diminished. Bummer, man. I'm sorry to hear about, especially the mental abilities on that front. But this is something that that happens when you age, unfortunately. And I think this is where George R. R. Martin's honestly at, that he's not admitting to everybody else. He knows he doesn't have that fastball that he used to have from his writing prime. Not that I am derailed in any measurable way from what I was, but my endurance, concentration, attention span, and memory are not what they once were. Neither's mine, my friend, but that's because of the internet. All of this is a function of what aging involves and living requires of us at one point or another. I knew this was coming and did not expect it when it arrived, and have spent my 80th year coming to terms with its presence. Whatever happens, I do not want to be one of those writers who's remembered for going on a bit too long than his or her faculties could tolerate, and thereby produce books that are less than my best work. This is interesting because most writers out here are way, way, way too egotistical to actually admit this. This is really humble of Terry Brooks. Makes me like him quite a bit more, just seeing just how honest he is. Accordingly, I have decided to step back from my intense writing lifestyle and settle down into a form of semi-retirement. This is a hard choice to make. I hate to admit that I don't have the abilities I once had, but better face up to your diminishments than pretend they don't exist. Better to make some adjustments to account for the onset of those diminishments before the readers you rely on for supporting your efforts begin to point them out. Beginning immediately with the publishing of my new book, Gallifile, I am stepping back in my author role, engaging help from another writer and steering the series for its proper direction for the necessary amount of care. I will no longer be doing the primary writing. Now, this is pretty interesting right here. My new co-author will be taking on that task. Instead, I will offer what help I can with providing storyline ideas, revisionary plot suggestions, and thorough overview that will help my co-author continue to give you the kind of book you would expect of me. I know her well and have been friends with her for years. Both my editor and I have agreed she's the right choice to take on the task of continuing Shannara. She can provide the skills, inventiveness that's needed to accomplish something which I'm sure she's every bit as professionally capable and committed as I am. With help and support I can give her, I will. That she will give to you what you want and expect something I am certain she will do. Her name is Delilah Dawson. She's a skilled professional writer and delightful person. If you've not read any of her work to date, I encourage you to do so now. So let's get into Delilah Dawson. She is somebody who is Delilah Dawson is really propped up by the mainstream and has been forever. So if you look at just her body of work, you see Disney's hired her for Star Wars novels. Disney's hired her for Marvel comic books. It seems to be like this is very much something that's out there that's getting a lot of over attention. Lady Castle, you see like the diversity and inclusion fantasy going right there. She is one of like the proto woke people who came out of like the early 2010s. Who writes her like her kind of weird sort of stuff. You can see The Peculiar Pets of Miss Pleasance, and kind of like one of those like odd romance novel sort of deals with a penchant for pets meets a sexy fireman in this, where she's writing fantasy, but kind of. And so it's a very interesting choice here because, again, she's very much embedded in the industry as one of those people, like I said, who's doing work for hire stuff herself. And really, none of her books have gotten a lot of, I'd say, fan acclaim over the years. And so she's woke. She is a activist like usual. That's how she got there. And Delilah Dawson, if you go to her website, you can kind of see she's done the thing where, where's her website? You can't even get here. Is this it? Yes, it is. Okay. No, it's not. I can't find her website, but she lists her socials as Threads and Blue Sky and Instagram, has her Twitter account protected so she doesn't go on X because X is bad because of the Trump people, the usual. And so this is a clout goblin who literally has her, sort of prop up in the industry because she's a woman. And that's what's been happening over the last 20 years is they've propped up a ton of women in the industries just to have her go out there talking about capitalism, rage. I mean, it's like this is who these people are. And so that's who he's hired to do this. And again, it just seems like because she's the industry sort of person out there who's been getting a lot of free attention, she wins all the awards all the time. But it's like, who is she? Does she really have anything that stand out of her own? Not really. Her Star Wars books are not very well received by most of the Star Wars fans because she came in after the extended universe was over. And so this is like one of those choices that's like, this is not going to go very, very well. And it's just kind of sad because now you watch the Shannara legacy being pushed into feminism, being pushed into woke culture. And that's what I expect to find out when this all drops as it keeps going. So interesting. He says, I promise you, as readers of my work, I will be involved and do my best to help Delilah whenever she requires it. I wish I could hang in there forever, but let's get real. This time it had to come sooner or later. I want it to happen when I can still be of use to whoever picks up the pen and paper to continue the work I started long ago. Nice sentiment, bad choice. It used to be useful without being invasive. I don't want you as readers to remember the end of things, my writing quality fell off or my production diminished, or that I simply lost control of my work in a noticeable way. I love what I do. I doubt I will ever back away from writing entirely and be happy doing so, but I also know it's time for me to begin easing into my elderly years. I have a great run as a professional writer and a fantasy adventure books, and I'm hopeful that it's not entirely over. I have a reason to believe that I have a few good years left to contribute to the writing community, and I want to put that time to best use I can. I want to thank you all who have followed my work throughout my career, contributed to my happiness in my life. Started out with little knowledge and no experience to become a writer, and I had no reason to think I would ever achieve success I have. I've spent my entire writing life to learn better how to wield storytelling skills and make characters and magic come alive for you. I will continue to do so as long as I am able. And Delilah S. Dawson doesn't say much about it. So here's my big announcement regarding filling some very big shoes. So there she is, and you can see she's got the strong woman look here going on Blue Sky. A lot of clout goblins in the comments that I saw there, trying to just like get their little maybe I can be the next one. And this is it. This is what the mainstream industry is. It's just replacement with feminism, replacement with the strong female lead, and I expect very much the same to happen to the Shannara series. Very, very sad. Nice announcement from Terry Brooks. I wish him the best. And yeah, he seems like a nice guy. But some bad choices here, unfortunately, at the end of his career. Leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Please hit the like and subscribe button. And also check out my book, The Demon's Eye. Excellent stuff. I'm at the peak of my game right now, guys. Having a lot of fun. This is classic sword and sorcery fantasy. You're going to love it. It's in the description below, and it comes out in 1 week. Pre-order it today. Thanks, guys.